Hello, hello. Welcome to the stream. Happy New Year's, everyone. It's your host, Cyberdragon, with Logic Lab. So basically, this stream is just going through logic and how to set things up. Sometimes they're basic stuff, sometimes they're quite advanced, depends on the episode. And yeah, hope everyone's doing well for 2025. And yeah, just wondering how you guys all been. If you're excited for the things that are coming this year inside Sandbox, there's a lot of big updates coming, which is really cool. It's really going to change the way we think about making our games and the possibilities, which is really exciting. And yeah, today I'm going to be going through some basic rules system and going through some basic explanations on how the logic systems work inside the rules, how to store things, how to change things, how to call upon those numbers, and what it all means. I'll try to do a visual representation on a board, so that way it might be easier to understand when you see it in a different way. But yeah, I've got a new setup, so hopefully the microphone's a bit better and louder. You can hear me more clearly. I got a new green screen. I got a new lighting, so I look clearer, I think. And there's no background as well, which is great. So I can do things like this. Like, whoa, I'm big now. Woo. And yeah, good times. All right, so this is our Game Maker version 10, and I already think it's frozen. I can't click anywhere. Oh, that's great. Let me see if I can click it here. Nope, looks like it's frozen. So I'm going to go ahead and reset that, because I don't think it's, I can't even Alt F4. That's a good start. I think it's my computer and not the Game Maker itself. I've always setting up quite a few things and a lot of new stuff. So not too sure what's going on there. I can't even close it. Can't Alt F4, can't escape. All right, be right back. I'll sort it out. Yeah, not too sure what's going on there, but we'll reset it and start again. Should be no issues. All right, we'll just go through the workspace and we'll go through our one-on-one or 101, which is the basics. Looks like it's going to work now. And if you have any questions or need help with logic, feel free to ask in chat. Happy to go through some logic explanations if you're stuck on something or want to know how to do something. So do let me know. All right, so we're going to go to the gameplay button up the top, game rules. We're going to talk a little bit about programming, really, functional programming. So functional programming is basically it's kind of what the rule system is, and it's a little daunting and confusing for some people, especially when you're starting out and you haven't done programming or understood these concepts in the past. So we're going to go over a few things. I'm going to put it on a board, and that way we can simplify things for you if you're not aware of how these things work. So we have variables here. Variables is basically all the things, it says here, variables are used to store data like numbers or text. And what you do is you can click the little plus at the bottom, and we got different sorts of variables we can create. We got number, decimal, text, time, and true and false. All right, so what we can do here is I will go ahead and grab this window. Get rid of this. And bring this over here. Oh, that didn't work. Where did that go? Here it is. Pew! All right, should be able to see that, right? Yep, Q. All right, so we've got different types of variables. So if we go back to our game maker, we have number and decimal number. So I'm going to go ahead and put that in. So we've got number. And what we'll do is we'll just make this larger so you can read it, make it black. And we'll go ahead and put in the next one, which is decimal. Decimal number. So decimal number is not a whole number. These are part numbers or maybe fractions of a number. Then we got text and time. So we'll go back here. I'm going to add text and we're going to add time. So these are the sorts of things we can use. We do have true and false as well. I don't use true and false personally. I don't know a good use case for it at this stage, but these are the main things that people use. All right, so we can have a box for each one. We'll have no background. So we'll put these in little boxes, right? Cool. So when we go to create a variable, we can say we want to create a number, and these are whole numbers. And whole numbers are basically, example will be like 1, 4, 17, 233,000, whatever the case is. This is a whole number, and this is where you'll use the number variable if you want to use whole numbers only. If you're going to use decimal numbers, so you might have a currency or something that requires, like, I don't know, you want to show the temperature. Temperature is not always whole numbers. They've got decimal places, like 30.4 degrees. You might use currency where you have $1.2, that sort of thing. So here we can have an example of, say, 1.2 or 13.67 or 100.1. These are examples of decimal numbers, and you'll use decimal numbers when you only when you want to use decimals. If you're not going to use decimals, just use the number variable. Text is pretty self-explanatory as well. It's just anything with text. So name, address. My address is a bit of both. So it's just names basically. You want to name something. You'll use text. Also banner will go here. Banner text can also go in here. And time is basically time. So you'll use time for races or timed events, that sort of thing. Countdowns. But does countdown work? Maybe not. I'm not too sure. We'll check it out. So these are the types of variables we can use inside of Game Maker. And when you're planning your game, you basically want to work out why you're creating a variable and what you're going to use it for. So that way you can pick the most appropriate thing that you want to use. Let's start off with the basic stuff, which is number. And we use number for quite a few things. We use it for score, health, experience points. You got deaths, kills. You know, you can use it for all sorts of things, gold, etc. So we're going to go ahead and create a number. And now we've got local and global. So when we go ahead and click create a number, it's giving us an option for global or local. So what does that mean? All right, so we got global. And we have local. Local is going to be renamed to player in the next update. So just so you're aware. Now global here, we'll put it. So global is seen and affects everyone on the experience. Well, it's not seen by everybody if you all right, it's only seen by everybody if you have it on a HUD. So if you have a HUD that displays a global number, when you change that number, everyone can see that it's been changed. Whereas a local player is seen and affects only the local player. So if you want something here that only affects the player that's playing and not everybody else, you'll use local. Now with global, examples would be team scores. So if you want everyone to see team scores, you would use a global. Timed events, so for races, for instance. So everyone is on the same time, you use a global event. So these are things that you would use global for. If you want local, you would use this for individual players' score, or points, time, anything that affects that player only. Cool. Now with local, this must be to make changes to a local variable. It needs to be triggered by the player. So the player needs to do something to trigger the change. So by detection from speaker or trigger volume. You can also use asker or interact, that sort of thing. And this one here is what you do with the local player. All right, so this is the basics. So basically what we want to do is decide what sort of variable you want to make. Is it going to be a number or a decimal number, text or time? And is it going to be global or local? So you've got to think how you're going to be using this number and who's it going to be seen by, or is it going to be seen at all? So if it's not going to be seen, you don't need to worry about the HUD side of things. But if it affects everyone, like a team score, you need to make it global at the beginning. If it's an individual player's statistic, then you want to make it local. Pretty basic, right? So this is the starting point of the rule system. So once you've got all that and you want to know, the next part is how to use the rules. So we'll go ahead and create a global so everyone will see it, and we can call it whatever we're going to use it for. We can just be a holder for a number 2. So we're going to do a holder 1. And we can have a value of 0, or we can have a value of 15, or whatever the case may be. So if you're going to use health, then you probably don't want a value of 0. You probably want the starting health to be whatever the case is for your game. If you're going to use gold, sometimes gold, you start off with some at the beginning of a game. Most of the time you start off with 0 and you need to accumulate it, that sort of thing. Same with score. So score can be 0. So we'll do score 1, or we can do math operation 1, and we'll just call that 0. Now we've got math operation 1. That's our variable. Great. Now what can we do with that? So let's go to our rules, and these are all the things we can do in a rule system. So anything we can do with numbers is here. So we've got math. If we want to do math, or add and subtract number continuously, these are the things you would look for, and we'll go ahead and click math. All right, so now what's happening here? Well, it's asking for a message required. Then there's the operation 1, there's the operator, and operation 2, and then a result. And then we can send a message after it's been done. So what does all of this mean? All right, let's go back to our board. We're going to go ahead and create an example visually. So we've got an operation, and the operation is this part here, the operator. And our operator is add, subtract, multiply, divide, modulo. So basically, what we're going to do is select 1, but let's put it in here anyway. So we've got plus, minus, times, and divide. What's a divide? Is it just this these days? Something like that, right? And I don't know the symbol for modulo. I can explain that. It's a lot more complicated another time. All right, so we're going to have an arrow. And this is here going to be our message required. So we're going to do a message, and that will be start.math, whatever the case may be, start math. And when we start math, we're going to put that here. So this is the message required to trigger this rule. And then we have operation 1, operator, operation 2, and result. So basically what that means is we're just going to give a quick example here. We can do math op 1 to operation, and then math op 2 equals result. And this is what's happening when you put the message in. Go ahead and move this out of the way. So when we send a message start math, it's going to go into the rule, and it's going to look for math op 1, do the operation, and math op 2, and then give a result. So an example of this could be 2 plus 2 equals 4. That's pretty much what it is. And here, the operand 1, we can put any value here. So 2 plus 2, and then equals. And basically what this part here is, it's looking for a storage space. So when we create a variable, it's basically a box that you can put something in. And what we've done here is we've created one of the operations, and that one's got a value of 0. But let's put the value 2. Okay, so math operation is a number variable, and now it's holding the value 2. So if we go ahead now, instead of a fixed value, we can go ahead and change it to a variable. And that variable is a box, and that box is math operation 1. So in math operation 1, our variable, we created the value to have 2. So basically this part here is now saying 2, and then it's plus, and now we need another one. We do have 2 here, but we can go ahead now and create another variable. We want a number. We'll make it global so it matches, and we'll just call it math operation 2, and we'll put the value 2. So now we have a value of 2 in operation 1, and we have a value of 2 in operation 2. So now we're going to change this to a variable, and we're going to select our math operation 2. So we've got math operation 1, add math operation 2. And that's basically this part here, which is the 2 plus 2. Awesome. Now we need to put the value somewhere. So the value is going to be 4, but it needs a box to sit in. We've got a box here. So this is math operation 1, and we've got a box for this one here, math operation 2. And I have the value of 2 inside. So we got 2 in this one, and we got and we got 2 in this one. Now we need to put the value of 4 inside its own box. So now we're going to create another variable, and this one here is going to be result. It's going to be 0 to begin with because the result is going to be overwritten by whatever the math rule is going to do. So we'll go ahead and now select our result to be, our result. So now when we send a message start math, it's going to go whatever the value is in math operation 1 plus whatever the value is in math operation 2 equals the result. And that's how we do 2 plus 2 equals 4 inside the rules system. Quite basic. Now the operation here is plus, negative, multiply, divide. So you can change that based on whatever you need for it. So if I go subtract, 2 minus 2 equals 0. Now let's see that in the game itself. So what we need to do here is, if we go ahead and press tab, you can see we're walking around, but there is no values to look at. We need to show something on the screen. So let's go ahead and do that. So what we need here is a rule. And what we're going to do with this is we're going to do game screen, and we're going to do HUD. And this is the HUD that displays over the screen. And we can send a message when the player joins. So when the player joins the map, it will send a message HUD, and we can send that to the HUD area here. And now we've got our little HUD, and what we can do here is we can display math operation 1, and we can do another one on this side, and we can choose the variable math operation 2. And then we can do the last one here, and this one here will be result. All right, so now when I press tab, you can see on the left-hand side, we got math op 1, math operation 2, and a result. So we've got 2 and 2, and the result is 0. That's exactly what we've created. So let me just fix this up to be more consistent. Now we just need to send a message, start math, to trigger this math rule. And we can do that in a whole bunch of different ways. We can do a lever or a button. We can go ahead and use this. I'll put this down here. We'll rotate it. And if it's a multiplayer game, it needs to be a multiplayer behavior in order to talk to the rules system. If it's a single player game, it doesn't matter, but a multiplayer game published as multiplayer needs to be a multiplayer behavior or component in order to talk to a rule system. So that way the rule system knows who triggered it and individualizes the triggers inside the rules. So in this case here, we're going to do a message broadcaster. And here we can send messages with a message broadcaster in all different ways. But what we got here is wait before broadcast. We want to tip that to be true, so it doesn't trigger anything straight away. It waits for a message. And the message can be anything, but in this case, we're going to use interact. And interact means that when the player presses E on this asset, then it will trigger. We're going to send that message start math, which triggers that rule. But it's set to everyone in range, so it's not going to reach the rules. The rules is not on the map. So you can select the rules in here or select all. They will both work. So we'll just do rules for this case and done. So if you want to test a game in multiplayer mode, you need to toggle this thing in the top right corner. Right now it's toggled for single player and it will work as a single player game. But if you toggle this as multiplayer, it means when you do tests, it will work as if it was a multiplayer game that's published. So if things aren't working when you toggle that on, there are things that need to be restructured in order for it to work. So let's go into here now. And you can see on the left, we've got math op1, math op2, and a result. If we go ahead and press E, you can see nothing happened, or it did happen, but what I've done here is I've got subtract. So 2 minus 2 equals 0, and that's correct. If we change it to addition, and we press E, you can see the result is now 4. So 2 plus 2 is 4. Cool. So that's real basic stuff. And this is how you get your numbers. So you create a number for one of the math operations, a number for the second math operation, and another variable to put that result in. And all you have to do is think about these variables as boxes. And we're putting things inside of the box. And you can change the value here manually. So here now the first value is 5. And the second value is, we can do, let's do 5 in this one and 15 in this one. So if we go ahead and press tab, you'll see on the left, we got 15 and 5. So 15 plus 5 equals 20. Awesome. Hey, last year trier, how's it going? Happy New Year. Hope everything is well. So we can change the operation now to be subtract. And you can see now when we press E, 15 minus 5 is 10. And that's our basic math operation when it comes to the rule system. And that's where we store one number in one box, one number in another box. We do the operation, which is the math formula. And that's how you get 2 plus 2 equals 4. The 2 goes here, the 2 goes here, the result of 4 goes in here. But we can delete this now because we changed our numbers. And next, what we're going to do here is, now it says message to send. So basically, once the math operation is complete, we can send a message. So here we can do send message 1. You can put whatever you want here. But basically, this can now trigger anything that you want inside of the world. One thing we can do is click on the spawn point. And here's some settings you can change on the avatar. You can add tags, assign a team to it, that sort of thing. You can change the starting gear of your avatar this way as well. So if I want to start with my giant sword, I can. You just do that in this place here. Now we can add a feature, and this one here has visual effect, and we can click on that, and instead of enable at start, we could turn it on with a message. So message 1, and we can do something like an arrow. And if we click play, you can see there's an arrow, and we can raise it a bit so it's not so close, or we can just have it where it was. We can go ahead and change the color of it. So we can click on that and say, let's make it a red arrow. So you got all different things you can do here. You got scale as well. Maybe you want a really big arrow, maybe you don't, but you got the option here to do so. And that will turn on when the message is done. So we'll wait, I think, maybe that's a bit of a bug. Yep, that was a bug. It shouldn't have been displayed in the first test, but that's okay. And now you can see I have, I think it's an advert. I'll wait. "15 seconds before the advert finishes, and I'll continue." All right, welcome back. Sorry about adverts. So now when we press E on this, you can see it's done the math operation on the left, and now it's triggered a visual effect, or it's done something in the world because we're using that message to affect something. Cool. So we did the math operation, it does the negative, and a result sends a message, and that message we used puts a visual effect above the avatar. Awesome. Another thing we can do with numbers, put this aside, is another rule is under replace variable values. We have roll a random number. I use this quite a bit in a lot of games. Maybe you want to roll a dice, or have a critical chance, or have an item drop based on chance. So rolling a random number is good for that sort of stuff. Hey, Play Game for Fun, how's it going? Happy New Year. I'm going well, how are you? So we've got a message required, minimum value, maximum value, and the number value to store. So let's go ahead and do that here. So for the random number, we're going to send a message RNG, which is random number generator. So if we go to our rules, we'll go ahead and put that in here, RNG. So this rule will only trigger once it receives that message. And now it's looking for a minimum value and a maximum value. Usually you can do it fixed value, or you can do a variable. There are different scenarios where you'll change this, but we'll do fixed value for now. And let's say we're going to roll a dice, a 6-sided dice. We'll do 1 and 6. So it's going to roll a number between 1 and 6. So we'll do that here. So we're going to roll a number between 1 and 6, and then it's going to store that number inside a box. We can call this box here RNG. So basically, it's going to roll a number. It's going to roll a number between 1 and 6, and we're going to store it somewhere. Doesn't have to be used. straight away, but it will be stored. We'll put a new spot for it. We'll make it global and we'll say RNG. Doesn't matter what value you put in there because it's going to be replaced with a random roll. And we'll go ahead now and put our RNG display. We'll do it at the bottom here so it's separate. And we're going to display our RNG. And that's going to be at the bottom. And the message we're going to use is RNG. So what we can do here is duplicate this one. And I duplicated it with Control D on the keyboard. And with interact, instead of start math, we're going to send the message RNG. So we'll go ahead and test that out. And you can see at the bottom, we have RNG variable, which is 0. And if we go ahead and press E here, now it's got the value 2. We rolled a 2. If we press E again, we rolled a 5. So it's going to roll random numbers and store it in that box called RNG. And it'll be the values between 1 and 6. If we do 1 in 60,000, for instance, it will roll a number between 1 and 60,000. And you can see it's going to put that number at the bottom inside that box. Unusual time for you to be awake. Play a game for fun. We'll have something interesting to listen. I'm doing very basic stuff, probably stuff you already know about. But I'm going through the basics of the rules and variables and showing a visual representation for new people that may not know how it works or is just winging it, but want a clearer explanation. Hey Hank, welcome. So now we've got a random number rolled, and it's rolled the number between whatever and whatever. We'll do 1 and 6, and it stores it in RNG. And then we can send a message. But we want the message to be sent based on the number that's rolled. So what's happening here? Let's go to our chart again. All right, so what we want now is to be able to send a message based on the result. So if it rolls a 6 or a 5, 4, I'll fix that up. 3, whoops, that's not a 3. 2 and 1. So if you roll a number between 1 and 6, we're going to send messages based on the result. And they will send different messages because we want them to do different things based on the number that rolled. So if you have a board game and you roll a 6, you want a different message sent out when those 6 is rolled so the game maker knows how to move, how many places to move the player piece or something of that nature. So what do we do here? Well, we need to compare the number so we can see what was rolled. So what we can do here is we can compare RNG. So we send out the message compare RNG once we've rolled it. And now what we can do is we can click this little box here to add rule, and this will bring up our rules list. And what we want to do here is a comparison. And what we want to do is compare the number. There's a whole bunch of different comparisons you can do, but in this case we just want to compare the number. And basically what we're doing is we're going to select RNG and see if the value is a certain number. So message required to begin this rule will be the message that gets sent out after the RNG is rolled. So that will be compare RNG. And the number that we want to compare is the RNG, the number we just rolled for. So we're going to go ahead and select RNG. So we're going to compare what's in the box of RNG. So what's in the box? what's in this box here. So when we roll a number, it's going to store a number in here, and then we want to compare what's in it. And we want to see if it's one. We've got a whole bunch of conditions. In this case here, we're going to do equals to. So we want to know, is the number inside the RNG box equals to the value of 1? So we can see this is how it looks and works. And if it is, we can send a message RNG1. So that will be coming out of here, RNG1. And you'll do the same for all of them. Whoops. So for this one here, it's going to be RNG2. And this one here is going to be RNG3. This one here is going to be RNG4. RNG5. You can call it whatever you want, but I make this easy to remember. If you give them all random names, then you may forget what each thing does specifically. Once you build a game quite deep, it can be problematic. CD, I'm sorry, what is your time zone, if I can ask? Yeah, so I'm in Melbourne, Australia. At the moment, it's 7:18 p.m. my time, so it's about dinner time. Still version 10. Is it already official info when will be 0.11? It's no official info. We are aiming for the end of January, so hopefully in 3 weeks. Again, it's been delayed already because there are bugs that won't be very good if you got it too early with these bugs. So a little bit more ironing out is needed before it's been released. But 0.11 is very exciting. I love it a lot, and I'll be streaming nearly every day once it is released. So I'll be making quite deep and complicated games again on my own stream on a regular basis. I've been waiting for 0.11 to be released for a while, so I can show you some cool and deeper games. And that's coming. Hank, you're in Sydney. Awesome. Another Aussie. Good to see. All right, so we've got here RNG1 if the result was 1. Now we want to do it for 2. So what we can do here is we can duplicate this rule here. And we're going to use the same message because we're just going to use the comparison. And what we're going to do here is we're going to compare if RNG is equal to 2. And if it is equal to 2, it's going to send out the message RNG2. If it's just 1, it will only send out RNG1. It won't send out this message because it only sends it out if this is a true statement. So if RNG is not equal to 2, it's not going to send out that message because the condition for sending out this message is if it equals 2. And we can duplicate that again, change that to 3, and we can send RNG3. And this one here, we can do 4. We do RNG4. And we can do 5. And we do RNG5. And this one here is 6. We do RNG6. So now we've set up a comparison for every variable that is possible in our setup. Now, if I gave that example of 60,000 before, it's going to not work for you, because if you're going to require 60,000 different outcomes, you can't set up 60,000 different compare numbers. That's not going to work out. But what you can do here is, I'll do an example. If you wanted to do between 1 and 60,000, what we can do here is instead of equals to, you could do less than or greater than. So if it's greater than, say, 30,000, then you can send a message out. Or what you could do as well is You can compare if numbers are in range, which is another one. So we'll delete that. So here we'll do compare RNG. So we roll between 1 and 60,000. Then we can send a message compare RNG to check if the number is in range. And we can see, is it between 1 and 20,000? And the number we want to compare is the RNG. And if it is, we can send out the message, whatever you want, range 1. And what we can do here is we can duplicate this, and we can say, is it between 20,000 and 1 and 30,000? And if so, we can send out the message range 2. And then you just make sure that you cover all the possibilities, because if something rolls and it's not covered, no message will be sent out. Okay, so this is how you do range, and what this is useful for. So let's just make this simple. We'll do range between 1 and 100. So it'll roll a number between 1 and 100. And this is good for percent chance for like critical strikes or hitting jackpots on the wheel, something like that. So if you want something to be a 1% chance of happening, what you can do is if something rolls between 1 and 99, you can send range 1. And what you can do here is if it's between 100 and 100, send range 2, or you can have like jackpot if it's a jackpot game, or if it's a crit, you put in crit. So basically, if it rolls between 1 and 99, it will do something. If it rolls 100, it will do something. And this is a 1% chance of it happening because it's between 1 and 100, and there's only one number that will trigger it, which is a 1% chance. If you want something to be a 5% chance, you'll change it to 95, and you'll change this one to 94. So now there's 5 numbers out of 100 that will trigger the jackpot, and all the rest will trigger something else. So this is the way you can do percentage-based RNG systems using to check number if it's in a particular range. Okay, so now that we have RNG 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6, which is here, we want to trigger something, so we can go ahead and trigger an individual thing for each of these numbers. And it could just be to display 6, for instance, and display 5, display 4. You'll get the drill. It's all pretty basic. So what do I mean by display? I'm going to go ahead and delete these ones. All right, so you might want something to trigger or display in the world based on what you roll. You might have a whole bunch of doors. And here you'll need to put a door behavior on it. And this one here is open and close. What we're going to do is just delete those and just have a message to open. And we could do RNG 1. So when we roll a 1, this door will open. We could Control D and duplicate. This one here could be RNG 2. And we can duplicate here and have RNG 3. And we can duplicate and do RNG 4. Duplicate. RNG 5. And duplicate. RNG 6. Cool. So now, depending if we roll between 1 and 6, a particular door will open, and you can see the result at the bottom. So if we, I still got the large numbers in there, my bad. And we need to roll it between 1 and 6, not between 1 and 100. So now when we press E, you can see at the bottom we rolled 2, and door number 2 opened. So you can do little things like that, or maybe you want to display a number. We can go ahead and just get like a numpad, and we'll put this on the ground, or we could even use the existing doors here. What we'll do is highlight them all, add a component. I'm going to add a speaker. Cool. We don't want it to look at target, and we want to wait for message. Awesome. And now we'll do these individually. We'll just say rolled 1, and the message we want to require is RNG1, and basically you do that for all of the doors. Roll 2, RNG2, roll 3, RNG3, roll 4, RNG4, and roll 5, RNG5, and roll 6 for RNG6. And you don't have to have a door open. You can just have a number be displayed to the player inside the environment. It has to be manually done and using a speaker, but that's the way it is at the moment. Last year try says, is a rankings function already available? It is. I don't know if it's functional though, as in bug-free, but if you do try it out, let me know how you go. It only works, I believe, in a multiplayer game. So the game definitely needs to be multiplayer in order for it to work. All right, so I'm going to roll, and we rolled a 5, and you can see there's a speaker that says rolled 5. That was triggered. If we go ahead and roll again, we rolled 4, and it says rolled 4. Push it again, we rolled 1, and now it's rolling a 1. Opens the door 1, displays rolled 1. And you can see rolled 4. The door is already opened, but it still triggers the speaker. And that's it. That's how the basics of the rules work. And you can see RNG, it stores that number and changes that number each time you roll. So we send a message RNG, it rolls the number between 1 and 6 and stores that number in here. Once it's stored, it sends a message to compare. It compares to see if it's 1 or 6 or anything in between, and then sends one of the individual messages based on whatever we rolled. And then we could display 5 or open the door or anything we want in our game based on that random roll. So with the rules, we have ranking here at the bottom here, last year tryout. So you can go ahead and put that in here. And you can have a message to start recording the results for a player. So we can do HUD. So as soon as the player enters the game, it's going to start recording whatever stat that you wanted to record. And the variable we're going to add is whatever the case may be. So we created math operations, we created a result, we created RNG. You can do up to 3, I think. Yeah, so you can store up to 3 variables to display, to display in the ranking system, or you can just have 1. It's up to you. And then you can organize that from ascending or descending. So if you want someone to have the highest score, you will have it as the highest number up the top. If you want something like deaths, you probably want the least deaths up on top. To display who died the least during your game. And in order for this to record, you need to create global ranking, rank players across all sessions. So you probably want to tick that as yes. So if you have someone, if you have 100 people playing and they're all in different instances, you probably want all of those instances to be linked to the one leaderboard. And that's what this function does. And this only triggers with a victory screen, I believe. So you need to have something that triggers victory. And it does end a session. That's the downside at the moment. So once you click victory, the instance ends, the game session ends, and the recording of the variables get displayed, and then the player needs to rejoin your experience and start again. So it's not like a loopable thing at this stage. So that's how that part works. Message required. Here is victory. And I think we can use maybe a button. No, just use a message broadcaster. And we want to use interact. And the message we want to send is victory. And we want to send it to all, or maybe just to self. I think that will work. If we send it just to self, to the victory component, it should work. I don't know. Haven't played it. So let's have a look. There we go. We got victory. And it doesn't display the board unless it's a multiplayer game, I think. That's published. So it may need to be published to be seen. But so when you publish a game, make sure it's multiplayer. And if you want to do some tests, that's the way to test it. Not too sure if it'll work for me, but let's have a quick look. We can test to see if it records. We'll do the launcher. See if it works. Yep, it works. I'll repair it because I think I've got a later version installed and I need to repair it to get back to 0.10 version. And then I'll send a link in chat, see if we can all join. And we'll trigger it and see if it works as a leaderboard. Because I don't know if it works or not. While that repairs, we don't want this button to be pushed straight away. So if you do join, don't push this button. Wait for a few people to join in order for us to see if the scores record. It will just be the number of the variables, so it's not going to have an actual score. It's just going to display those operations. But we can do all different examples later on. But let's just see if this works. We'll generate a link. Hey Zumzy, how you been? Happy New Year. All right, we're going to copy this and I'm going to put it in chat. If you want to join, do it. And we'll see if the leaderboard system works. Okay, I'm loading in now. It may not work with this test link either. It may need to be published to the land. I didn't want to connect to that experience. Let's try again. Yeah, there's a few bugs still that need to be sorted. Connection failed, so that link obviously didn't work as expected. So yeah, good times. Should I publish it to a land? Yeah, probably. Let's try that. I'll quickly publish it. And that way we can at least test it. Test it properly. You're going to have to wait for me to create a page for it and publish it. So give me a couple of minutes. I'll sort it out. Create page. And I have a bunch of blanks when it comes to banners and stuff to create the page quickly. So it won't take me long. Testing leaderboards. All right, this looks good. Now, can I save changes and then would that be good? Let's have a look. Okay, that's good. Publish the page, multiplayer, confirm. I have read the terms and conditions. I think we all do. We all sit down and read it word by word, right, guys? Big fan of terms and conditions. Now let's manage the land for it to post on. Let's do that one. Choose location. Got it. And I think that's good. Let's launch experience, multiplayer, confirm, read terms and conditions, launch experience. All right, view page. Okay, I'll link this in chat now. And let's see if this one works. I'll click play. Yes, all right, it's loading for me. That's a start. Excellent. All right, I'm in. If you guys want to join in, and then we can see if the leaderboard actually works. Just crashed. I see you in here. So something happened. I did trigger something. Maybe I crashed it by triggering something. Don't know, but I'll wait. If you want to rejoin or someone else wants to join, we need a couple of people in here, I think, for the leaderboard to work. Ah, there we go. You're good. Awesome. So we'll go ahead and check it out. I'll press E. And whoop. We're at victory. There's me cutting off my own head with the sword, jumping aimlessly. And then we can click next. No leaderboard displayed. Interesting. But there's replay, back to hub, and play. So it doesn't look like I click play and it's taking me to a different game. All right, so what's going on here? If we go to gameplay and we check, HUD is activating to start recording, so that should all be good as we send that message when we join. There's math operations, so it should be displaying math op 1, math op 2, which has variables in it. But it's not displaying the leaderboard. Create global rankings, rank players across all sessions. Doesn't look like it records, guys. Oh, this is a message broadcaster. I can definitely test a different thing, that's for sure. So what I'll do is I'll close the experience and we will test a different thing or two and see if the trigger is the issue. So victory, it sends it to self. There's group victory and delay. Defines if experience is competitive or cooperative. I don't know if that would be different or not. But let's test this out with on collision, maybe? I'll get rid of this. I wonder if that works. So if I just run into it, does it trigger it? It does. But no leaderboard displayed inside the editor. I'll save and I'll go ahead and publish it with this and see if it makes a difference. Maybe also the on player join is not working properly here. So maybe the on player join is the issue. What I can do is send a message RNG once to trigger it. Maybe that will make a difference. We'll save and publish this, and now we've got two different things to try to see if it makes a difference in recording our leaderboard or not. All right, refresh the page. Launch experience, multiplayer confirm. Whoops, multiplayer confirm launch experience. Just taking a little extra time this time. Okay, it didn't work. Let's launch experience again. It's just infinite loading. Yep, there we go, it worked. Let's view page. We'll copy the link. I'll send it again, just in cases. Yeah, the name has changed in the link. Don't know why. Let's play and see if this works. All right, loading in. Ah, you're already in here. Nice. All right, let's do the RNG to trigger Okay, so now we have definitely recorded the process to begin. And now we'll walk into this thing here. And now we've triggered victory. Got the overview. And no leaderboard. All right, that's fine. It's something that I will talk to the devs about today. And see, you got defeat. All right, so if one person triggers victory, it does defeat for all the rest. That's in the competitive mode. I think when we go to the actual victory, group victory, it will be true. It means everyone gets victory. If it's false, then only the person that triggered it gets the victory and everyone else gets defeat. But still no leaderboard. So not too sure what's going on here, but it's definitely something that's going to be addressed and in the short term as well, I believe. If you guys experience getting this working or have some sort of method that I've been missing or something of that nature, let me know. But I'll figure it out. And by next week, hopefully be able to explain a little bit more on how it works or what's going on or what needs to trigger it in order to make this leaderboard display. Maybe maybe it's the global variables that's the issue. Maybe it needs to be a local variable. Maybe let me try that first. I'm going to do a local variable. I'm going to do 100 or 1,000, and then we'll go rankings and change this to local. I mean, that could be the problem. So it might need to be a multiplayer game, but only record local variables. That could be a possibility. Or maybe not. Let's publish this one more time. I'll save. Because this is worth testing out. Because if this is the thing, then that would be very handy to know. And if it's not the thing, that's also very handy to know. Multiplayer, confirm, read terms and conditions, launch experience, view page. Okay, here's the link. Let's try one last time. Loading in. Yeah, so the RNG message to start recording is just a lever that opens up the door. So I click on that just to trigger the recording. And that could be an issue. Let me go back to here. It's sending a message to the rules. Is the leaderboard considered rules, or do I need to do all? We'll test this out first. So I'll go ahead and press E. All right, so we rolled our number. It should be recording. And then we go over to our victory. Okay, cheery cheer, and there's nothing. Because there should be a leaderboard here before it displays the next part. Well, that's not working. I have changed this to all now. Maybe that will be different. Let me just press E and see if it works in the editor. Probably not. Yeah, nothing here either. It is in the rules, but it should work. It is a local this time, and it didn't work for the local. That's all right. At least we know now that it's not working as intended. And there's things to report to the devs. I can show them this stream and they can go over it and see what the issue is. But that's it for today's stream, guys. Thanks for tuning in, and hope you enjoyed a little bit of the quality increase of the mic volume on my end, and some lighting and cutting out the background. I will have more exciting things and NFT giveaways in the future, so do tune in. And if you have any questions for Logic, give me a message anytime. Happy to help. But thanks for tuning in and have a great day. All the best. Bye-bye.